I think it's a stupid award. They shouldn't have it, and it's more about the players, and it's more about the work that the staff puts in, and it's just that simple. I really don't ever want to be asked or talked about it again.
Today I'm going to talk about why Joe Mazzulla deserves the Coach of the Year. And it's not what you think. I'm not going to talk about his X's and O's, his 50-win seasons, and the stats he's been able to extract from these players. It's really going to talk about the deep intricacies of Joe Mazzulla and what he's about, from says his players' intentions on what's most important, from putting his faith in something bigger than himself and understanding that he's not the most important piece on the board, and really finding a way to understand his players on a holistic level, allowing them to be successful and be the best they can possibly be. This one I'm really excited for because I think everyone looks at Joe Mazzulla, calls him psycho, calls him kind of this character that we misunderstand. And for me, I think Joe Mazzulla has it all figured out. I truthfully believe Joe Mazzulla deserves Coach of the Year. And I think he's setting the standard for coaches across the country and in the NBA of how to coach this new age basketball, of really leaning into your players, creating a loving culture that ultimately pushes players to be the very best they can be. So I'm super excited about this one. Stay tuned, watch it throughout, and get a good understanding of what makes Coach Mazzulla the very best. The first thing that makes Joe Mazzulla so special and why he really does deserve Coach of the Year is his ability to set the intentions of his players and understand what's most important, understand the moment that's at stake. And often when you're playing and you're getting caught up in the game and kind of the publicity and the chaos and the fans, you often feel like it's more important than it actually is. And Joe Mazzulla is so good at knowing that at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it's really just a basketball game. It's a game we all enjoy, we all cherish, but the stakes are never that high. And Joe Mazzulla is so good at making his players understand that. I think something that stands out to me is during the game, Joe Mazzulla has actually gone up to Jayson Tatum and has said to him at the peak game, at the height of it all, when Jayson Tatum needed to get a bucket, when it mattered the most, when a lot of the pressure was on him, and said simply, "I love you."
You pulled him aside after that timeout with about 5 minutes left. What message were you delivering to him then? What kind of confidence were you trying to instill in him with
I love you.
just I love you?
Yep. Yeah. That's it.
And saying that to Jayson Tatum made him understand that, all right, I mean, if I miss this shot, so what? I still have people behind me that care about me. And at the end of the day, making or missing the shot is not going to be the end-all, be-all. And I think that's super important. And that's something that Joe Mazzulla daily preaches about. And there's a segment on WEEI, which I'll pop up, where he basically was asked, do the playoffs get more intense? Like, what's the difference between regular season and postseason? And Joe Mazzulla plainly said it. There's nothing.
This will be your fourth playoff run as the head coach. What lessons have you learned through your first 3 playoff runs that you think can help you on this next one?
There's no difference between a preseason game, regular season game, playoff game. The biggest difference is people don't really watch the regular season and they watch the playoffs. So they think because they're watching it, it's the most important thing, as opposed to a regular season game in Detroit. So you still have to rebound. You have to get back on defense. There's a trigger word like adjustments. You don't make them in the regular season. You only make them in the playoffs. And so if you don't do it, then you have those things. The biggest one is if you're down. You could be down 0-3, but it's really 10 possessions. And I think that's what you have to fight for, the perspective. You could be down 0-2 and you're down 10 possessions because you didn't close a quarter the right way. You didn't start a quarter the right way. You missed a couple of shots. And so it's fighting for the understanding about, regardless of where you're at, are we winning possessions? Can we get better at the 10 to 15 possessions? That stuff doesn't matter. So you can't be blinded by, obviously the intensity, the physicality is much different, but you can't be blinded by the margins and the details. And you have to understand the process of, possession basketball.
There's no difference. When it comes down to it, it's just another game of basketball. It's a game where you got to win the matchups, you got to win the strategies, and you got to find a way to come out on top. But the playoffs, the atmosphere, it's the same to Joe Mazzulla. And from a fan's perspective, you might be like, hey man, when I'm watching the game, I don't see that. But when you're on the court and when you're in it, when you're in that moment, it's so important to not get caught up in that. And Joe Mazzulla does that so well. And I think his presence, his understanding of that trickles down into his players and lets them just be relaxed, lets them be in the moment and just play the game that they love so much. And I think the only thing that he said was the same, which is understandable, or is enhanced, is the physicality, which makes sense. Everyone is super intense. Everyone's trying to get a win, trying to find a way to come out on top, and that all the more makes it important to understand the moment and almost use that to other players, to the players' disadvantage, to get them riled up, to make them feel like it's more than what it actually is, while you're just over here confident in the work that you put in and have faith that everything's going to work out and you're going to come out on top. Joe Mazzula was so good at that. He never shows his cards, and I would not doubt that is a reason why, because he knows the other team is going to come in intense. All right, I'm going to get my guys calm. I'm going to get my guys focused and understand that this is just another basketball game. The second thing that makes Joe Mazzula deserve the Coach of the Year, in my opinion, is his faith in something bigger than himself. Joe is known as a devout Catholic, and daily before games he walks with his rosary beads around the court and just centers himself.
I like to do a prayer walk around the court. At the garden. I like to be in the garden when there's not a lot of people there, just because it's the garden. So I get there around 11:30, 12. I also love collecting rosary beads, just because it tells a story of kind of like where you were at. So I have a few unique ones. Actually, Kara got me one of the best gifts you could ever have, and it's a rosary bead, but it's made from the original Boston Garden floor. Yeah, and so it just ties two of the three most important things in my life is the job that I have for the Celtics, my faith in the tradition of the Celtics, and it's just a really cool gift.
And, we all have our different religions. We all put our faith in something different. We all have our own spirituality. But Joe Mazzula, by being a devout Catholic, by putting in his faith something bigger than himself, once again, as we talked about previously, he understands it's not about him. He's not the biggest piece on the board. He's not the king of chess. And he actually said that. A reporter asked him, he said, did you see that the king and queen from England were here at the game? And Joe responded simply,
did you get a chance to meet with the royal family? And if not, how was it like having them there in the building?
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph?
The Prince and Princess of Wales.
Oh, no, I did not. I'm only familiar with one royal family. I don't know too much about that one.
I mean, for him to say that, for him to understand that, and he just understands that it's not that. He puts Jesus at the very top. He puts something higher than himself. And to me, that makes the coaching that much more simpler. It makes it feel that much more relaxed because he understands, once again, end all be all, it's not about him. It's not really going to matter in the grand scheme of things, and that ultimately is true. I mean, yes, it's important. He wants to win for the fans. I know that. We all know that. His competitive spirit. He's got a fiery soul, but he also understands to put himself not on a high pedestal. I mean, he doesn't want Coach of the Year.
You're a lot of people's pick this year for Coach of the Year. I was wondering what winning that award would mean to you, and if there's anything in particular that you've taken pride in accomplishing from a coaching perspective this year.
However, there's a way to make sure that the staff and the players, get the appreciation. Don't need it. I think it's a stupid award. They shouldn't have it. And it's more about the players, and it's more about the work that the staff puts in. And it's just that simple. I really don't ever want to be asked or talked about it again. It's just that dumb. So the players play. It's about them. Staff works their ass off. I'm grateful to have them.
He doesn't want that attention on himself. So he wants to place the attention on winning basketball games, on putting his faith in his players, and just pushing them and just finding ways to make them excel and succeed and get better. And to me, that's what Joe Mazzulla does so well. That's what he brings to the table. And for him, that's a very freeing feeling, knowing that it's not about him. It's not really, in the end of the day, him. It's bigger than him. It's Jesus in his case, but in other people's cases, it's just spirituality. Like, that's what it's about, and that's super important. And then another thing I think kind of comes into play here, kind of this idolization. It's important for people to not idolize their job, to put it on the highest pedestal. And so he puts Jesus and Mary and Christianity at the highest level. That's his pinnacle. That's what he's trying to reach. Anything below that is not really on his radar, but what comes with pursuing Jesus is winning basketball games, is having an impact on the Celtics and his players. That's kind of what he's seen. And so, to me, making sure that you're not idolizing your game and making sure you put your focus on something else, whether it's going outside, going for a walk, and finding other hobbies, whether it's Jiu-Jitsu like Joe Mazzula does.
When you become a coach, you spend so much time leading others and helping others that, you almost neglect yourself. The question I have is, like, who's coaching you?
Grab my arm, step.
Art, drawing, like Joe Mazzula doesn't just put his main focus on the sport of basketball. He puts it on his family. He has kids that he cares about. He has a wife. Like, when you put more eggs in your basket, you can diversify yourself. And when you maybe fail in the sport of basketball, when Joe Mazzula doesn't coach to the highest standard that he wants to, he understands that he's not a failure in life because he has so many other things around him that keep him afloat, that keep him going. And basketball is just a small segment of who he is. But to me, that mentality really, really goes into his players, goes into the coaching staff around him. It's contagious. People want to be around that energy, that calm energy where they have faith in what's going to happen, when they know that whatever happens, it's going to be okay. People want to be around that. It's relieving. There's less stress, and Joe Mazzula is the epitome of that. And for me, that's another reason why Joe Mazzula deserves Coach of the Year. Finally, Joe Mazzula understands his players, not just on the basketball court, but from a holistic level. I mean, we saw it. Joe Mazzula went to Derrick White's WWE event. He did Derrick White and enjoyed that time with Derrick White. He spent time outside of the NBA, outside of the job, and that's so important part to think about, which I'm going to show you. Joe Mazzula was asked by a reporter, it's kind of, I'm just going to play it for you, so take a listen to this.
It's not really common for, like, in most workplaces for the boss to go out with, like, one of their employees and enjoy a night out like that.
I wouldn't consider myself a boss, and I don't consider Derrick an employee, with all due respect. I think it's not how we operate. I think it's more about just relationships and the people that you have. So, not to cut you off, but I just don't look at it that way, and I don't consider myself in that situation. It was more, we're in this together. We're an organization, and my family's a part of that organization. Other coaches, assistant coaches are a part of that family, and anytime we can do stuff together, I think it's important to try and do that. So it was more about that, but I didn't mean to cut you off on that. Nope.
Joe Mazzula saying this, answer the reporter, saying it's not a job, it's not your traditional job, it's more of a family, it's more of a connection. I don't view them as that. They're part of my family. I care about them. It's not a job. That is what makes it important. That shows there's no pressure. This is a family. People care about you. No matter what you do on the court, if you make a mistake, it's all right, because Joe Mazzula has love for you. He understands who you are. He understands what you're about, and he's not afraid to. He's not worried that you're gonna fail. He understands. He's got trust in you, and that's so important. But then on the flip side, going to the WWE event, seeing what Derrick White is like outside of the court, that's so important. You get to spend time with Derrick White when he's not in this high, intense, pressurized situations, and then you get to read him, see his personality, see what he's about. So then when he's on the court, you can really extract the stuff from him. You can treat him to his personality. You can attend to his needs. Some people may not want to be yelled at. Some people can't. Some people take criticism differently. Some people want to be told and instilled faith in them. They want to be picked up and pushed forward. Some people aren't as confident maybe in themselves and they need a little pick-me-up. They need to be told, hey, you got it, you're good. But then some other people need to be scolded at. They need to be yelled at. They need to be, hey, you're not doing your job. Do better. They need to be held accountable to their standards, and they need to be pushed. They need to be yelled at and scolded. That's what some players might be like. So being able to hang out with people outside of the court and just kind of see who they are as individuals, how they take criticism, how they interact with fans, players, that's super important. And a side note, Joe Mazzulla obviously puts an emphasis on this because this season, Joe Mazzulla, before practices, before games, would ask his players to give them a little something, a little information about who they are and present it to the entire team.
One path that you have taken to try to get these guys to really know each other, not just on the court, but off the court, is having these guys do presentations to the team.
I have to get better at as a coach is facilitating those things amongst the team. I think that's just as important as the basketball stuff over the course of a long year. I've said it a couple of times. Like, the NBA season tests everything, but it tests just your ability to stick together, all the time. And so, that right there is just, it takes 5 minutes. You learn something about a teammate, and it just kind of builds a different type of connection. So,
one time, Joe, one thing that stands out to me is Jordan Walsh was talking about his love of anime. And when it comes down to it, that's what basketball is about. It's about building connections. It's about understanding who these people are and creating relationships and creating family. When you go to war with someone every single day, you're building connection, you're building relationships, you're building a family. And Joe Mazzulla understands that more than anyone. And so when you know someone holistically, when you know someone in and out, then you can really, really focus on what they can do for you. You can set their roles, you can set their intentions, and you can extract their value of what they do best, and you can make them succeed. And that's what Joe Mazzulla has done all season. He knows who Baylor Shireman is. He knows he's this energy guy. He's got a little swagger to him. He's a hooper. He's been doing this since day one. And Joe Mazzulla knows that, and so he's going to find a way to extract that. He knows Jay Walsh is he's a little more quiet. He's a little more subdued, but deep down in there, he's a dog. He's got energy. He's got fight. He wants to defend. He wants to guard your best player. Joe knows that, and he's going to find a way to extract that. He knows who JB is. He knows who JT is. He knows all of these guys. And when you know all of them, you can connect them. You can find out who works best with who. When you know personalities, you can match personalities on the court and then find a way to make them work together and produce amazing results, as we've seen this Celtics season. So ultimately, I think what I've taken away from this podcast, and I feel like I've learned this self, and it's making me even more excited. It's kind of invigorating me. It's firing me up. But Joe Mazzulla sets intentions, but he also makes players understand the moment at hand. He doesn't make it too high, but it's not too low, right? It's important, these games. You want to win it for the fans, for the people around you. You want to give your very best, but then you also want to make sure that if you do make a mistake, if you do lose a game, if you don't necessarily reach the top, it's going to be all right. There's always tomorrow. There's always another day to get back to it. And Joe Mazzulla always preaches that lesson. So for me, Joe Mazzulla is the ultimate stand-up guy, stand-up human. Who cares first about the human that's on the court, and second about the basketball player? And when you have that in order, that's a winning recipe for success. So thank you so much for watching Beneath the Hardwood, presented by Celtics Nation Rise. This was really fun for me. I had a blast, and this is the first one I've ever done, so I'm going to only continue to improve and hopefully get better for you guys and give you some great content that really inspires you, that makes you think outside the box, hence the name Beneath the Hardwood. But thank you so much for watching. This was amazing. I had a really, really good time. And make sure to follow us all on social media, especially this playoffs. We got some new graphics coming your way. We got some new content. And we're really trying to ramp it up, just like the Celtics. I think the Celtics are peaking at the right moment. So is Celtics Nation Rise. So stay tuned. Watch this. Thank you for watching if you did watch all the way to the end. And go subscribe to this, but also follow us on all socials. And stay tuned and be along for this ride with Celtics Nation Rise, because we're building something strong over here. We're building a Celtics family, a community that you want to be a part of. Peace.